Hello, DeMatha Nation. Welcome again to our 75th anniversary DeMatha Speaker Series. My name is Connor Glowacki, current staff member here at DeMatha, and I'm joined today by fellow staff member and 2011 graduate Ben Fleury, who will assist me in today's interview with legendary Hall of Fame head football coach here at DeMatha, Bill McGregor. Coach McGregor just completed his 31st season as head football coach and is in his 41st year here total at DeMatha. In addition to being the head football coach, Bill has taught English, served as the head baseball coach in the late 70s and early 80s, and was also the co-athletic director with Morgan Wooten for a number of years here at DeMatha. Since the formation of the WCAC in 1993, Bill McGregor has been named the WCAC's top football coach 12 times and has a career record of 287 wins, 45 losses, 3 ties, and 86% winning percentage. And he has won 17 Catholic League championships. Coach McGregor was inducted into the DeMatha Hall of Fame in 1997, while also having his 1981 and 1984 baseball teams inducted, as well as his 1998 football team. In 2009, the Washington Post named DeMatha football the program of the decade after stringing together a remarkable 6 straight conference titles from 2003 to 2008. And in 2004, the NFL recognized Bill as a National High School Coach of the Year. Over 20 of Coach McGregor's players have made it to the NFL/AFL, but perhaps the most crowning achievement of Coach McGregor is that he has helped more than 350 players attend college on Division I football scholarships. Quite a remarkable statistic. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest for this afternoon, Coach Bill McGregor. Coach, thanks for joining us, and congrats on being able to have, I know it was an abbreviated season to the pandemic, but congrats on being able to have one, first of all, this year.
Hey, Connor. Yeah, thank you so much. It's always a great honor, great privilege to be around so many DeMatha guys. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me on. I want to thank everybody for getting on the Zoom today. It's so great seeing so many faces. Things have been so tough because of the COVID, and we have not had any real get-togethers like we normally do, or been able to have football games or like we normally do also. But again, great seeing everybody. Appreciate everybody being on, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
We're glad to have you on, Coach, and we're gonna do our best to get to as many questions because you have quite a turnout today. But first, we'll get a couple questions here. So, Bill, you started at DeMatha working here in 1973. What brought you originally to DeMatha? How did you hear about the school?
Well, actually, my parents moved from Pittsburgh down to the Washington, D.C. area. And I graduated from college in December. And my intention was going back to school, go an extra semester, continue partying, have a good old time, and do whatever. But my mother said, I think you better go and try to find a job somewhere. So basically, to appease her, I went over to Good Counsel, and I put in applications at Good Counsel, put an application at DeMatha, Gonzaga, and I was over at Good Counsel. And the day I was over there, there was a problem with an English teacher. She actually locked herself in the closet as these freshmen were driving her crazy. And Brother Bonaventure was the principal there. And Brother Bonaventure said, hey, Bill, I can't meet with you today. Is there any way you could come back on Monday and maybe we could sit down and talk? So I went back that Monday and he said, have you ever taught English before? I said, no, I can't even speak it. So he said, well, I have an opening in English. I'm going to give it to you. You have a job. Can you start on Tuesday? So that's how I began. You got into education. That's how I first started teaching. Then you always heard about DeMatha. I mean, DeMatha had a tremendous reputation up in the Pittsburgh area. Even back then, it was a nationally known program. And then at the end of that season, I was the JV baseball coach over at Good Counsel. And at the end of that season, I got a call from John Moylan and said, would you be interested in maybe interviewing over at DeMatha and coming over and talking to us? And we have an opening for a JV football coach, JV baseball coach, a bus driver, and a weight room coach. And I said, sure, I'd love to. Went over, met with John, met with Morgan, met with Buck, met with Jerry Franks, and I got hired. And, been here ever since.
That's great, Coach. Thanks. Quick question. So we'll get to Dennis Golden after me, but just kind of curious, what inspired, your passion for football and for getting into coaching? Like when you were growing up, did you, always want to be a coach, or was that in the back of your mind that maybe one day you'd like to take over a program? Where did that passion come from?
Yeah. I always loved coaching. I always loved being a part of it. Played athletics all the way. I think I first started, I was 9 or 10 years old. I really enjoyed playing. Really, football was my favorite sport by far. My last year, I went an extra semester up in college. And last year, I worked as basically a graduate assistant up at John Carroll. And just being able to go out, I played linebacker up there, and be able to work with the linebackers and work with the defensive personnel and do the scouting reports and things like that. I really enjoyed it. And I really think that it's, continued my passion for the game. I've been very, very blessed. Had some great high school coaches who really inspired me and wanted to follow some of their footsteps. So I think a combination of a number of reasons, but again, it's something that, that I've always enjoyed doing, always been a part of, and love doing it.
Great. We'll go ahead, Dennis.
Sorry, Ben.
Go ahead, Dennis. Sorry.
Okay. First, I just want to say hello to everybody. It's awesome to see all those faces and all those names. It's fantastic. I see Scotty Pasatiempo out there, and Pas, I just want to tell you, our youngest son, whose name is Michael Dwayne Golden, is long snapping for our high school football team right now. He's playing tight end, defensive end, and he's long snapping. And for everybody out there, he is named Michael Dwayne after Dino Campbell, who is Dwayne Marcellus Campbell. So he carries Dino's name. So we're proud of that. And Scotty, you'll be proud to know he's long snapping right now. So there we go. All right. Just wanted to mention that.
And Scotty was an unbelievable long snapper for us. One of the absolute best.
Fantastic.
So loved it, babe. It's great.
Yeah. So Michael Dwayne is a sophomore for the Bishop Stang Spartans up here in Massachusetts. And we're 4-1 right now in our spring season. We got 2 to go. So we'll give it our best shot. All right. So Coach, my first question is, what are the key components to building a team each year? How do you start from the ground up? What do you think are like the most basic foundations in team building?
Well, Dennis, as you know, I think one of the most important things is surrounding yourself with great assistant coaches. And I've been blessed over the years to have some of the greatest men work with me and be by my side, year after year after year. And the greatest thing is we have not had a major turnover with the coaches. As a defensive line coach and offensive line coach was absolutely fantastic. Dino's been with me forever. I was blessed by everyone to have Buck as my ultimate mentor. I know when I first got the job back in 1982, it was in March, and we started football that next day in March of '82, and we did football, Buck and I, every day from March all the way until the end of the season, including Saturdays and Sundays. We never missed a day. We were either doing something over at school, over at his house, or down at the Naval Academy up University of Maryland. And he was just a tremendous mentor. But the big thing is, I think, is set up what Morgan had. Morgan was the greatest teacher in the world, and Morgan had great priorities. And everything started with our faith, and we try to continue being a faith-filled program. We begin practice with a prayer, end practice with a prayer. We have team masses, 3 times a year, and I think that's incredibly important that we able to express our faith and build it that way. Second thing we always did right was stress family. I think we have a real family atmosphere at DeMatha. Look at all the guys here today and the impact that they have had on the program, the positive impact they have had. Their sons have had such a positive impact on the program. But it's a DeMatha family. Like the saying goes, it's one DeMatha. There's nothing like DeMatha High School. And there's nothing like the family atmosphere that DeMatha portrays and lives by. And I think that's incredible. The third component, obviously, was the academics. Look at the success here on the screen. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable how accomplished all the guys are in terms of so many different fields of life. John Ferran, incredible attorney. Mario. Ryan, Jeff Hathaway. Phil, Kenny Klotz, Rob Landini. Some of the people I just able to see. I mean, what everybody's accomplished is just unbelievable, and I think that's incredible. And then of course the football program. We just try to do it the right way. We're not the flashiest program in the world, but we're gonna have the nuts and bolts and work on the fundamentals, do the little things, try to do the little things as right as possible. Because of the great assistant coaches, put so much time in and just grind day to day and try to come out and make it one of the best programs we possibly can make. I think that's I think it all goes back to Morgan. I think we've all been so fortunate to have Morgan as our mentor and lay the foundation for the program.
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis, and thanks, Coach.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Coach
Great
Golden, I
answer.
can never thank you enough. I mean, you changed the whole program when you came.
It's a two-way street. I may have helped a little bit. I didn't change it. It was well in place, but.
You came in 1991. We reeled off 6 in a row. Or 5 in a row or 6? Yeah, that was
5 in a row. Yep.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, that was a good way to go.
Good.
I appreciate it, Coach. You know that, babe.
Thanks.
Love you.
Love you too.
Yep.
Thanks, Dennis. We'll go to Coach Dino. Dino, if you could ask a question to Coach.
What's going on, fellas? First thing I have to say, it's wonderful being back in the red, white, and blue. I was on the desert there for a little while, a couple of years, and it's really good to be back. One of the biggest joys of my life has been coaching with Coach McGregor. I had him 8 different times when I was in high school, 4 as a varsity baseball player and 4 as a football player. 1 as my freshman head football coach, and then 3 years as a varsity linebacker coach. And it's been the joy of my life to be involved with what Bill's put forth and what we're trying to do together as a football program. But I want to talk a little bit about baseball. Obviously, you mentioned earlier in the conversation, Coach, that football's your first love, etc. So I wanted to find out, first of all, how did you end up getting the head baseball job at DeMatha? And then what did you take from your experiences playing and coaching football to bring to the baseball program?
Well, first off, Dino, thank you for being on. I greatly appreciate it. I think everybody knows how I feel about Dino. Dino's like my son. Yeah, we go back to when Dino was, I guess, like 13 years old. When I was the freshman football coach at DeMatha, and Dino was a linebacker, come out of the Lanham Boys Club, coached by Don Clark. Just a tremendous relationship. Then the relationship developed over the years with when Darren came through and with your dad and everything else. We would not. This is the absolute truth, gospel. We would not have the program we have today if it wasn't for Dino and his commitment. I mean, there's not a better defensive coordinator in the world than Dino, and his rapport with the kids and his understanding the kids and his relationship with the guys is just unbelievable. And Dino, I can never thank you enough for everything you've done and everything you just being a part of the program and everything, your commitment. Every Sunday morning we're up there at 10 o'clock in the morning. He has his whole defensive staff. They're breaking down films and they're geared up and ready to go. And they're there until they get it done. They might get done at noon, might get done at 2, might get done at 4, might get done at 6. But time was never an issue with Dino, and his commitment has never been an issue. And again, Dino, it's really been an honor to coach with you. Like we joke about it, but it's a true story. There's a lot of times we have a lead, and it's like midway through the third quarter, and I would turn to Dino and said, Dino, I'm literally gonna pack it in. We're gonna play even more conservative than we normally do. Pack it in, and you got to hold them. I still remember that game over St. John's where I think the score was like 13 to 8. They were loaded that year, and we packed it in, and obviously the defense held them. We beat them as we should. We're supposed to. But in baseball, I love baseball too. I played baseball growing up a little bit, but Yeah, my thing with the baseball thing, Buck was the head baseball coach for years. I think Buck decided to give it up. I was the JV baseball coach. We had some success with the JV program. I think we won the championship 3 or 4 years in a row, and I guess by default I got the baseball job. My approach with baseball is make sure the guys have a good time. And Dino's team went into the Hall of Fame for baseball, and I enjoyed coaching that year as much as any year coaching any sport at DeMatha. It was absolutely fantastic. There's a great group of guys to be around. Steve Miller was the shortstop in that team. Now Steve's the head baseball coach at DeMatha. Just a great guy. Steve Morsiewicz, Dave Clark was our catcher. It was a fantastic team that year. The one game I always remember was we played McNamara. They beat us the first time through, and now we're played over Sports Park. And Steve Miller opened the game up with a single. Then Moss got a base hit to the left. And then I think we hit 5 consecutive home runs with Dino and Dave Clark being part of those 5 consecutive home runs. And you don't even see that in it was over the fence home type of home runs. You don't even see that in the major leagues. That was an incredible ball game. And we ended up beating them, I think, like 9-1. But we jumped on them early, and that was a great time. But I think the biggest thing is just, with baseball, it's during the spring. It's a great time to be outside, get some air. And we just try to do it as best we can with the guys having a good time playing.
Coach, thank you for your remarks. Dino, thanks for your remarks and your question. We got a question here from John Shoeb. So John, if you want to unmute your mic and ask Coach your question.
Sure, Coach. Hey, I just wanted to touch base, and ask you guys, both you and Dino have impacted so many people in such a positive way throughout the years. And, Dino was a fantastic balance to be able to keep the relationships with the players and everything. Throughout the years, there's been a lot of challenges, I'm sure, with the kids and, different stories that you've had to kind of go through and help them as a mentor. I guess my question was, I wanted to kind of get a feel for, was there any stories that, that stood out as far as being, some of the funniest stories that you've ever, you just wouldn't have expected, right? So you just shook your head and was like, well, either what was he thinking? Or, anything that just, made you laugh and you're just like, you gotta be kidding me.
There's been a ton over the course of years. For anybody who doesn't know John, John played linebacker for us and played tight end. It was just a great player. Went to the Naval Academy, left the Naval Academy after a year, and went to Kent State. Had a great career at Kent State. But basically, the greatest thing about coaching, the greatest thing about football, you just don't know literally what's going to happen day to day. I mean, it's a day-to-day type of process, day-to-day type of situation. You're dealing with sometimes young people, and sometimes they have different ideas than you have in terms of how to do things. We had Mike Ritter can tell you, we had every once in a while we would have an incident down at Riverdale, and just never knew how it was going to end up or what would happen with those incidences. But we just try to go on and try to make them as best you can. Some of those instances, or maybe you can't really get into great detail or don't want to get into too much detail about, but it was always fun. I look at it this way. I don't think I worked a day in my life. We had so many great times, so many great situations. Then there was always times when sometimes the young ladies would come down to practice, and I had to put on my scowl, my face, and try to scare them and try to intimidate them and get them out of Riverdale, get them out of DeMatha. Just like I said, you never knew what was going to happen, or some guys maybe were a little bit late for curfew at times. And I know Charles Wiley would never have been ever late for curfew, but every once in a while that might have happened, or things like that. But there's always something that kept you hopping, kept you moving, and it kept you feeling pretty lively about things, and that's half the fun of coaching. I spent last night on the phone for 3 hours dealing with some things, and it's just, you just never know. It's like a box, like that movie. It's a box of chocolates, right? You never know what's going to happen from day to day. Sometimes right now with the COVID, hour to hour, so it's been great.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Coach. Both you, Dino, and the entire staff there. They've been fantastic, and looking forward to touching base live.
Thanks, Sean. Oh, yeah, great seeing you. Appreciate you being on, man. I can't wait to, and good luck with your son. I hope they do great this weekend. Yep.
Thanks for your question, John. Let's go to another John Farrell. If you want to unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for being on the line. I think I shared with you beforehand, 41 years of officiating college football. And when I started in high school, of course, I could never do DeMatha because of the conflict of interest other than the scrimmages. But I'd hear from some of my buds, what's some of the funniest stories you've had dealing with the officials on the sideline? I know guys like Dino, the lieutenants, they would really get after it. You, not so much.
Yeah, well, thanks, John. Yeah, great seeing you. Appreciate you being on. Yeah, I mean, it was, well, I had great experience with officials, okay? My father was a high school official in Western Pennsylvania. And when I was growing up, I would go with him, if I could, to the games and stand on the sideline. I can't tell you how many high school stadiums I was in the Pittsburgh area before I even went to high school. It was absolutely fantastic. So you had a chance to see how, coaches would interact with officials and how they wouldn't interact. Sometimes, as you know, it's an act that you got to put on. I remember we're playing a championship game over at Bird Stadium, and there was a pass thrown, and it was Mr. Freeman. He was the referee, and he called the pass a lateral, and Gonzaga got the ball deep in our territory. So, so I'm standing on the sideline, and I'm next to Chris Bosch and and Chris says, well, we better go out and fight for that one. I said, yeah, I will. So I called timeout. I actually went out on the field a little bit, and I started pointing my finger and going through all kind of gyrations, like I was really upset. But it was the whole thing was an act. I was getting booed by the Gonzaga fans. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. But again, it ended up working out because on the next sequence, we ended up getting a big call. They called the holding penalty, moved them back 15, and they never got into the end zone. But again, with the officials, you have to pick your time, I think, and know when to do it, and you always you try to have a camaraderie, try to have a relationship with them as best you possibly can. Knowing that, the officials are going to be human, they're going to make some good calls, bad calls, but you're trying to get that call when you need it. And, so you always keep them close to your side, but not try to, alienate them too much.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, John, for your question. And Coach, funny enough, we got another question from a John. This is Jonathan Mason. So Jonathan, feel free to ask your question.
Thank you. Coach, how's it going? I appreciate it.
Hey, Mace, how you doing, babe? Good to see you, Jonathan. Yeah, it's been a long time. We haven't seen you since we did Rodney's camp, but yeah, you look great, babe. Congratulations doing all your business opportunities. You're knocking out of the park.
I truly appreciate you, Coach. And in typical me fashion, I have a question kind of tied to business. But first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you for everything you're doing. Welcome back, Coach Dino. I still yell, get to the ball. Even to my employees, we got to play hard, and we always got to bring a gift when we get to the party. So, Coach, the NCAA is changing. We're seeing legislation now coming with name, image, and likeness, legislation on both sides of the ball. So we're talking Booker and Rubio. This is a two-parter. Do you think NCAA players should get paid? And then the second part is, how would any legislation that allowed players to utilize their name, image, and likeness for some type of compensation, how does that affect the value proposition of DeMatha, be it recruiting or even retaining talent?
Yes. Well, first off, anybody, for the people who do not know Jonathan played here at DeMatha, obviously, and was a 3-year starter, wide receiver, defensive back, just did a great job. Those 3 years, we won 3 consecutive WCAC championships. Jonathan then went to Harvard, had a great career at Harvard, received a number of awards at his senior banquet, and just did absolutely tremendous there. Actually overcame 2 ACL injuries, I believe, right, Jonathan? And just a lot of adversity, but just an incredible fighter and incredible young man. And just so happy to see you. In terms of what's happening right now, I mean, college football is really topsy-turvy, and it's really, really tough, especially right now, even with the 21s and the 22s. 21s means the guys that graduated in 21 here, the guys graduating in 22. There's limited spots right now, and there's limited spots, number one, because of the COVID situation, and there's also limited spots because of the transfer portal. There's like, I believe, over 1,200 student athletes in the transfer portal right now, and less than 20% of them are getting picked up. But what that is doing, though, is having an impact on the guys right now in the 2021 class and the 22 class, in terms of being able to get seen. With the COVID situation, I hope the NCAA opens things up here June 1st. They're having a meeting today. I haven't seen the results of the meeting, but they're talking about being able to open things up and maybe have some camps and things like that. But one of the things we always do, we try to go to University of Maryland, do a 7-on-7 camp there, and a big man's camp there, and go up to Penn State and try to do one up there. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. We've been talking to Maryland. And Maryland doesn't think they're going to be able to do the 7-on-7. Penn State is saying they think they might be able to do it. We have a one-day camp up there at the end of May. I'm sorry, at the end of June here, and be able to do it up there on a Friday. So we're going to see you there. In terms of image and likeness and things like that, if the guys deserve, the colleges are making millions and millions of dollars. And you guys are all the ones that filled up the stands. I look at some of you guys who you played Division I football, and now back then you did it for the love and things like that. But if there are business opportunities for it, this is America, and I think I think you should be able to pursue your business opportunities, and I think it's fine to be able to do that. Now, in terms of where the limitations are going to come, where they're not going to come, I don't know. And, I think that's going to be decided by people who know the college game much better than I do. But in terms of, all the hours, all the time that a Division I football player puts in, it's unbelievable. You guys, I know you get a free scholarship to college, but, you earn it. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that you're not there from 8 a.m. doing classes till at least 10 at night by the end of the day. So if you do get paid a little bit and helps maybe add a little bit to your bank account, I'm good with that. I think it's okay.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's a great question. Let's go to Charles Wiley. Charles, you're next.
Hey, Coach Dino, Coach Golden. Good to see you all. For the past 25 years, I watched you take kids from all walks of life and get them to believe in one common goal. And the climate of the world today, like, what advice would you have for us to kind of spread that DeMatha way to the world?
Well, first off, Charles, great seeing you. Greatly appreciate it. Charles, as you know, was a heck of a wide receiver, defensive back for us. Went to Rutgers, had a great career at Rutgers, and just a fantastic young man. I think basically what it is, it's the values that DeMatha teaches. It starts with the administration. I think John Moylan was the greatest principal, greatest leader imaginable for DeMatha High School. It was the perfect storm. He was the perfect home run. Then passing it on down to Dr. McMahon. Right now, Dr. McMahon is the perfect storm for DeMatha. So it starts with the leadership and what they teach and what they expound on to the students. I think that's incredibly important. Then number two, the mentors that are at DeMatha. I mean, Morgan Wooten, the all-time winningest high school basketball coach ever. Every basketball player from the time he started to the time he ended got a basketball scholarship to college. So the priorities that Morgan established, that have been able to, we've been able to utilize in our athletic program, I think is absolutely invaluable. Then you have Buck. Nobody was better than Buck, the absolute greatest. You had guys like Ray Smith, Tony Fotis. I mean, it was almost like it was like the perfect storm of so many administrators. Right now at DeMatha, it's with Father James and Father Damien. Father Damien is on the sidelines at every football game, every basketball game for as long as I can remember. It goes back, I think, to the 60s. So in terms of what he established, Father James right now as the president of DeMatha, what a great leader he is. So it's all the values I think that DeMatha has established to allow us to go in to try to incorporate it into the young people and to talk to young people about it. And then, of course, it's the values that we hold as men. We want to do basically three things at DeMatha. One, we always wanted to do the right thing, and we wanted to be the right, try to establish the right thing as a human, as a person, do the right thing as a student, do the right thing as a football player, be the best you can possibly be. Look at the success on this screen. I mean, it's absolutely astounding to see the accomplishment of all the people here. So not only as business people, not only people in the workforce, but as people, as human beings. Ryan Ferran he's an attorney. He was at every football practice from August until our last one on Tuesday, doing temperature checks. I mean, geez, a flip. I mean, what a great commitment. He has a family. He has a business. He gave that up from 3 to 5 to help. And again, I can go on with person on the screen here, saying how much you have contributed, how much you've given back to DeMatha, and how appreciative I am of each and every one of you. So I think that's important. And the other thing, I think we've always done this at DeMatha. We've been a family. We treated each other the way we want to be treated. And, we might have, like in a family, you're going to have some rocky times. You're going to have some tough times. Things aren't always going to be perfect. But in the end, we kiss, we hug, we tell each other we love it. You love each other, and we patch things up, and we go on and go on to the next day and make good things happen. But I think that's the wonderful thing, and that's the fun part about being at DeMatha. It's a bunch of guys, and guys, a bunch of dudes, real dudes, and real guys. And I think that's the great thing about being around and just emphasizing the DeMatha values, what DeMatha stands for, what DeMatha is all about. But it starts at the top. And like I said, with John Moreland, now Father James, and Dan McMahon, and the Trinitarians, I just think, and the faculty and staff, I just think it's unbelievable.
Thanks, Charles, for your question. Our next question, Coach, is from Stephen Miller. Stephen, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Coach. I just want to say thank you for everything you do for the school. I mean, I try to live up to everyone that does this, and people just do it because they want to make a difference. And I love that about this school. That's why I keep coming back to help. So my question for you is, at what point in your entire life, like your career as a coach, teacher, did you realize, like it hit you, that you made such a difference on so many people?
Well, first off, Stephen, thank you. I greatly appreciate you being on. Stephen right now has graduated from DeMatha, and he's back helping out with Wendy, helping out with the football program as best he possibly can. So I greatly appreciate that, Stephen. I can't thank you enough. Stephen's father was Chuck Miller. And
that's my grandfather.
Yeah, grandfather. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. And Steve, Tim is your father. I'm sorry. Yeah. But Chuck took tickets at all DeMatha football games and basketball games, along with Bernie Campbell, for as long as I can remember, and Joe Scalco. I mean, they were the three that really laid the foundation for so many things beyond service, with their service to DeMatha. I mean, nobody was better than Chuck, the absolute best. But in terms of things hitting me at the impact, I don't think I don't know if I had an impact. I just do what I do. I mean, I'm not. I just go to work. That's all I do. If things come up, you try to handle them as best you can, and just go on that way. And just you try to give a little advice where you can. Try to kick somebody in the butt if you have to, or give somebody a pat on the back if it works. But I don't know what kind of I was just doing my job. That's all. Just trying to do, and just trying to live day to day, and just try to enjoy life a little bit. And like I said, been around some great guys, great players in terms of just being good people, just good young men, and great parents. There's nothing like DeMatha. I think you have to experience it to really know what it's all about. And believe me, it's a special place. If you take a look at Mike Jones with the basketball program, what a great guy Mike is. Mike is as humble and as easygoing a guy as you're going to find anywhere in the world. But look what he's doing. I mean, just tremendous. So right now with Steve Miller with the baseball program, Steve is taking that on, and I'm just so happy to see him back with DeMatha. And he bleeds the red, white, and blue. But it's just a bunch of guys that like Buck Morgan who laid that foundation, Ray Smith, and all those guys, Tony Fotis, and all we just try to do is just go to work every day, just do the best we can.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Coach. We'll only give you a few more questions, Coach. I know we're going to try to get to everyone. We got a lot of questions coming in, but we'll limit to a couple more. Charles Woodbridge. Charles, if you want to unmute your mic and ask Coach a question. You got a good question here.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? I just saw you recently. Quick question for you. Players from the past, how would you compare the present players that you coach, and how have you adapted your coaching style? Because as you know, and I'm a coach as well now, they're different. Kids are different now, and I'm just trying to get some feedback on how you adjusted that.
Hey, Charles. Great seeing Charles. I appreciate it. Just saw Charles. Charles is an assistant football coach down at St. Mary's Riken right now. We go back forever. I got to tell you a story about Charles, okay? Charles is one of my favorite guys, okay, ever, okay? Maybe. I put a maybe after that. One day I'm sitting at the house, and all of a sudden the doorbell rings, and all of a sudden I look up, and there's Charles. And Charles had something behind his back, and I had no idea what he had behind his back. Then all of a sudden he brought it forward and showed it to me. And he had this cage, and in the cage, I think were 4 gerbils. And Charles brought the 4 gerbils over to the house to give to my daughter, Kaylin, who at that time was about 5 years old. And I could have taken Charles and shot him right there in the spot. Obviously, with a 5-year-old, what happens with gerbils, right? They want to hold him, they want to pet him, and the next thing you know, I have gerbils running through the house, Charles. So, again, I greatly appreciate everything you've done along those lines, and driving me crazy for that day, and also for a number of years. But Charles, like I said, was a big tight end for us. Went to Rutgers, played defensive line for Rutgers. Just had a great career there. But in terms of I think this, Charles, I think the one thing that's common with guys is they want to be successful and they want to please, and they want to do well. So I think if you lead them in the right way, okay, the right way being just listen to them a little bit more now because you have the social media, but you lead them, you have your priorities established, and the guys are going to follow. This year's football team, you can see the guys growing. Week by week. We probably had our best practice of the year on Monday before we were shut down on that Tuesday. I mean, the enthusiasm at that practice was incredible. But I think that's so important. And again, I've been blessed. I had the greatest assistant coaches in the world, and the time, the energies, and everything they put in has just been absolutely fantastic. So there's so many adults that are coaching that are so on the staff that lead and help. I mean, it's just, it just makes life easier. But I think a lot of it's just, getting into their world a little bit, talking to them, seeing what's happening, see what's going on. There's more single moms right now than ever before. I think that's an issue that you have to talk to the kids about. Sometimes you got to hold their hand a little bit more. The greatest thing I learned about, with the COVID is you can have a Zoom call immediately, okay? Or I can do, you can do FaceTime with your phone, or you can text the kids. Yesterday I spent half the day texting some of the guys and saying, hey, do me a favor, put together your highlight video, get it to me so I can get it out to the colleges. And so they're putting together their highlight video, they're getting it to me. I think you got to give them a stake in the game. And I think that's so important. Where they feel like they're contributing too, and they're going to send you that highlight video, and obviously you got to pat them on the back and tell them, hey, it looks great, and then you get it out to a few colleges for them, and hopefully you can make good things happen for them. But I think communication is an incredibly important asset, as you know.
All right. Thanks, Coach. And just a quick shout out, congrats to Dino and Coach Golden. Good to see you.
Thanks, Charles, for your question. Coach, our next question's from Jonathan Betts. So go ahead, Jonathan.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. Thanks for everything you do. Just want to echo everything everyone said. Good to see Dino, Coach Golden, and everyone. I guess my question would be, how does DC area football stack up against the rest of the country, and specifically the WCAC? And how has that changed over the years? I went to school up in Pittsburgh, and I used to go to high school football games over there and in Ohio. And I always thought we stacked up specifically really well against those teams. But what's your perspective?
Yeah. Hi, Jonathan. Great seeing you. Appreciate you being on. Great. Yeah. Jonathan was a great defensive, offensive line for us. Ended up going to Washington Jefferson. Had a great career up at W&J. And just a great young man. I appreciate so much you being a part of this today, Jonathan. In terms of WCAC, I think it can go back as long the beginning of the Catholic League. When back in the 60s, the best conference by far, easily in the DC area, probably one of the top 3 conferences in the country. Last year in all of Western Pennsylvania, I think there was only 12 boys that signed Division 1A scholarships. Okay. We at DeMatha alone, okay, I think had seven 1As and I think another 5 or 6 1AA. Now you add St. John's, you had Gonzaga, you had Good Counsel. I mean, it's a hotbed of college football or high school football. All the teams are right now pretty even. There's not a great difference between the 4 of us. And on any given Saturday, almost anything can happen. And basically, what's happening is there's a lot of Division 1A players playing against 1A players, and it's just a great league. But college coaches come in forever. When I came back, one of the things I kept was like a little journal in terms of what schools were coming through. And last January a year ago until February, when signing day happened, and it ended that weekend before signing that Wednesday in February, the first weekend in February, we had 106 colleges come through DeMatha. We even had schools like Utah come through. I mean, we had Arizona come through. We had Arizona State come through. We had Texas A&M come through. We had Texas Tech come through. All the Ivies, myriad of the 1AAs. So again, if we're getting that type of exposure here at DeMatha, they're going to the other schools too, and I think that's a tribute to the kind of football that is played in the WCAC. Every weekend it's going to be an old-fashioned dynamite knockout type of ball game, just like we had with St. John's. The St. John's game was basically an 11-7 type ball game. Just a battle back and forth, and fortunately we had the 11 and added 6 more on the last play of the game, make it 17-7. But the greatest thing about DeMatha is this too: we know how to win. Look at the screen. Look at the winners on the screen. Every one of you guys are winners. Winners in life, winners with your families, winners as football players, and that's what DeMatha has. Jeff Hathaway's now the president of the board of directors, and Jeff can tell you, with Morgan, it's that it factor I think that DeMatha has to enable us to get over the hump in tough ball games that nobody else has. And I think that's the big thing. And, and whatever that it factor is, I don't know, but I know we have it. And but it's a real tribute to the guys who play and the coaches who coach and the students who go to DeMatha. I mean, it's the separator. It's the it. And we're winners. That's the bottom line. DeMatha wins, and they win at everything.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jonathan. So, Coach, we'll get to one more question here, and then I kind of want to close and ask you a question. So, last two, I promise, and we'll let you go. We'll go to Chad Costello. Chad, if you want to ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Coach. Wanted
Hey,
to say,
Chad, how you doing, babe? Good seeing
how
you.
you doing?
Good.
Wanted to say hi to Dino too. See him on there. I had asked, I put it in the notes, but wanted to see who your largest influence was at DeMatha and why from years past.
Well, Chad, great seeing you. I think everybody knows Chad. Chad was a great linebacker for us. Played on our championship team in 91, 90, and just was outstanding football player for us. Chad's dad, just the greatest guy in the world. In the Costello family, I mean, they proudly take their place in the great history of DeMatha High School. So, great seeing you, and just appreciate you being on. I can't thank you enough. In terms of what influence, I guess, or in terms of
yeah, like you influenced so many players going through there. I guess who was your largest influence?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. My influence in my life obviously was Buck. Buck was absolutely the best. I still remember back in 1982, we went down and we scrimmaged Glen Burnie, and we had a horrendous scrimmage that day. And in the following week, we're playing Old Mill, and back then Old Mill was loaded. And I still remember Buck saying, "Hey, Bill, this is your football team, and you're the one who's going to be, going to be remembered in terms of how this team is going to play and how it's not going to play. And if we don't get this turned around, we're going to be in big trouble." And we went in that Labor Day Monday, and had a big meeting with the guys and sat the guys down and went, this is what we're doing right. This is what we can build them on, and this is what we need to improve. And I don't know what happened, but the whole thing changed after that meeting. And we went out and beat Old Mill in that opening game 21-6. But it was like a game changer. But it was the knowledge that Buck had was unbelievable. I mean, Buck always knew what to say and how to say it. And I still even remember, like Morgan, if Morgan had some big decisions that he had to make, okay, he would go to Buck and ask Buck, "What do you think? How would you handle this?" And no one had a better insight or better knowledge, I think, than Buck did. And Buck would always come across at times as a really gruff, hard type person, but he was as soft as can be on the inside, and really loved DeMatha and loved you guys and loved coaching. And but he always had the right thing to say, and it was just he was my mentor. And at any time I had any question about anything, you go right to Buck. And Buck, how would you handle this situation? What do you think about this? What would you do here? And he always knew what to say. And I'm just sorry I just didn't keep more of a journal, okay, in terms of Buck's knowledge that I cannot even pass on to the younger coaches. I've been very blessed also to have this. I have notes from Morgan's basketball meetings that he gave me, and those notes are like invaluable in terms of how to handle different situations, and they're just absolutely incredible. And I feel very fortunate that Morgan gave me those notes. If anybody would like to see some, I'd be happy to share some of them with you. But again, it's little things like that people, the DeMatha hierarchy knew what to say, how to say it, and get it done the right way.
Thanks, Chad. And Coach, just on, for me, I just, want to thank you, and it's a pleasure and it's an honor to see you around at DeMatha, getting to chat with you every day and talk to you. I think it's just amazing too. Like, you remember even the guys on the call, you remember what position they played, where they went to school, what they're doing now for their careers. I mean, that's a testament to the work you put in, and it's just great. And I just want to thank you for everything you've done for DeMatha. We love you here, and we're so happy that you're back here coaching. But my question here, my last question before we conclude, Coach. So, obviously you've been at DeMatha for over 40 years, four decades. I mean, like the Buck Offits, the Morgan Wootons, the, Father Damien, Joe Carroll, Doug Sheffield. I mean, what makes you, stay at DeMatha for that long? Is there something like what makes DeMatha stand out, from other schools in the country, and what makes you, get to, wake up every day and come back to work? I mean, 40 years, that's a long time.
Well, first off, in terms of remembering guys' names and what they're doing in life, it's a family, right? You know exactly as much. You can remember as what your children are doing and what your relationships, what people are doing. And I think that's the greatest thing about DeMatha. It's DeMatha family, and I think there's nothing better than that. I'm looking on the screen right now. I see Mike Landy. I see Betty. Miss Landy ran the DeMatha bingo for years. Ran the kitchen. Nobody was better than Mike and Miss Landy. The contributions they had were unbelievable. So it's family that people help each other. I'm the most boring guy in the world. Brenda says, "What do you want for your birthday?" I said, "I don't know. I don't want anything." "What do you want for Christmas?" "I don't need anything." I love what I'm doing, and I was just so happy. I made sort of like a kind of a dumb decision about 8 years ago when I decided to leave a little bit, and then when I had the opportunity to come back, I really was so thankful that DeMatha allowed me to come back and be a part of it again. But again, it's not even like working. It's like you're going having a good time day after day. I'm looking at the screen right now. There's Leonard Nickens. Okay, when Leonard was one of our managers, right? All the guys on the football team, okay, at lunchtime would go over to Leonard's house and eat him out of house and home. So we go back forever with that, or Jeremiah's on the phone. There's so many great guys, and I think that's what makes DeMatha what it is. If somebody had a little academic problem, like one of the teachers I would go to all the time was Joe Carroll, and they say, "Joe, look, this guy's stuck a little bit. Is there any way we can borrow a few points?" And Joe would look at me and say, "Oh, but I'll lend him a couple." So that's the kind of guys you have at DeMatha. And that's the reason why you want to go to work every day. Joe would look, I'll lend him 3 points for this quarter, but I'm not going to give him 3 the next quarter. I said, "Great, Joe. Appreciate that." And now all of a sudden he's able to maybe play or be able to do something able to get in the ball game. But that's what DeMatha is. It's really is a family. And there are so many people that have been contributed to. Danny Crowley and Big Dan. I mean, what a great family. And it's family. That's what it is. And it's special. And I just feel blessed that I've been able to be a small part of it and just be able to work there and go there. The Trinitarians hired me and have kept me around. So, I love it. It's just like, it's like play sometimes,
Well, I think that will conclude our afternoon here with Coach McGregor. Thank you to everyone for joining us today and for all the great questions. And Coach, thank you for taking the time out to be a part of this. And hopefully in the fall, we get something a little closer to a regular football season. I know we're all looking forward to that. But Coach, thanks again for joining us today.
Oh, great. Connor, thanks for having me. And again, I appreciate everybody being on. I can't thank you enough. So great seeing everybody. And can't wait to see it, maybe the golf outing, right? I got out there and have a couple of Diet Cokes together, or if not at the golf outing, see it at the first football games. But again, thank you so much. Love everybody. Thank you. I greatly appreciate everybody being here.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
You're the best, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Until then,
Thanks, Coach.
Stay safe, everybody.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bill.
guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
guys. Yep.